Welcome to Win Talk Radio, where you will learn how to talk truth and take action. Hosted by WIN, Women Impacting the Nation. Join your hosts, Sue Trombino, founder and president of WIN, Debbie Healy, public policy advisor for Faith, Family, and Freedom, Carrie Campos, co-founder of Self-Evident Ministry, and Janique Stewart, founder of Love Protects Ministry and speaker with Life Training Institute. For more information about WIN Talk Radio, go to our website at womenimpactingthenation.org. Because remember, when we show up, we win. Anyway, welcome to WIN Talk Radio, where we are now in Statesboro, Georgia. We're so excited to come to you live actually right now. And we are here with a pastor, Pastor Ken Worthington. And we're just thrilled to have you, Pastor, because we're doing our Watchmen series, and we're continuing our Watchmen series with Pastor Ken. And we're so thankful, Pastor King, that you, we have a Pastor King, Pastor Ken Worthington, to come and join us today. And we just thank you that you're a watchman.
Thank you.
And so what we'd like to do today with Debbie, I'm with my co-host, Debbie Healy, and I'm Sue Trombino, by the way. But we'd like to ask you to just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up. And we had a great conversation the other night, and I really want our audience to know really who you are and that conversation, because it really helped me to know that, you're just not a pastor.
Right.
You are a man that God has called to be a pastor, and a Watchman pastor at that. And but I'd love for our audience to know a little bit about you, where you came from, and if you could tell the story, which you told me, if you feel comfortable with that, because it was so amazing, that story, and how you were faithful, and how God called you, and even though you went through a tough time and wanting to be, and you talk about the Golden Glove, but you wanted to be a Golden Glove, the trials for the Olympics, but yet God had a different plan for you, and here we are because of God's plan and God's providential hand in your life. And so tell us a little bit about you and where you came from. And
I was born in 1958, November 13th, and I was given a shot in 1960 of August and took polio from the vaccine. 1 out of 484,000 kids would take polio from the live vaccine that they gave you. So I was one of the odd numbers. And my mother always told me to buy lottery tickets. And that's a joke. But anyway, I took the polio at 2, and I don't remember ever not having it, of course. And so every summer growing up, polio deadens the muscle, so when the bone tries to grow, the muscle won't let it, and it crooks it. So every summer they go in and break the bone and reset it. When you quit growing, which is at 12, is when I quit having to have surgeries. But I remember being a little farm kid, and my father was a farmer at first, then became a crop duster. I remember a doctor coming in when I was about 8 and said, son, you're going to have to learn to make a living with your brains, not your hands and arms, because, you have the polio. And I thought, that's strange. Everybody I knew worked with their hands. He brought me some books, and the books were kids that had handicaps and how they had overcome their handicaps. One of them was a boy that was blinded by his brother had a big firecracker that went off in his face. Fascinating story. And the name of that book is Follow My Leader. I won't never forget that one. Another one was about a man that had crashed in Alaska and had to walk out. He was a male pilot in the tundra, and it froze his fingers and his toes off. But he kept a daily diary. He was trusting God to get him through that. So when I read those, I thought how lucky, blessed I was. So as I kept growing up, of course, I couldn't play baseball, couldn't do anything. And the school bully picked on me one time, and I smacked him in the nose. And I was about 12. And the football coach, we were in PE class, he saw that, and he says, in the office, so we both got a paddling. And then he said, now, come and see me after school. I said, okay. I didn't know what that was about, because he was the football coach, and he said, I want you to call this number. This is a boxing coach. So I got into boxing. And from 12 years old, up to 16, I fought in the Golden Gloves in Arkansas. Well, I was in a tournament and won it in Arkansas, and we got to go to Chicago. And on the way to Chicago, we stopped in St. Louis to eat seafood, which was a delicacy when I was a kid, shrimp and stuff like that. And we all got food poisoning. So the next morning when we arrive in Chicago, we're all sick with fever. They won't let us fight. And so my heart's broke. Tried out for Olympics, not going to be able to even fight in them. 1973 at the end of it. So the team that won just a few months later crashed into a mountain in Germany and killed every fighter, every coach. So immediately in my life, it's sometimes when you lose, you win. So that was a big part of me getting converted early in my 17th year in May and called to the ministry. And the Lord has used, his showing me his sovereignty, his always that guiding hand that's brought you along. And he taught me so much in the hospitals about polio, because I worked around kids that were blind and burned and all, children's hospital where nobody ever has to pay because it's for the children that parents can't pay. And so God taught me so much character then, and then he saved me at 17 and born again. And immediately I saved in May and called to preach in September. And I've never looked back.
That's wonderful.
And I've got a 1,400 volume library. I teach Greek to local pastors and laymen in the area that want to learn it. And God's really blessed me. This is my 45th year in the ministry.
Wow.
In October.
It's really amazing when God puts these roadmaps up, and when we're walking into those roadblocks, and we just question, and why, God, why are you doing this? And look what he did. He has a journey for every one of us. Yeah. And he knows what our plans are, what his plans are for us. And we just need to be on that road that he's directing us.
Well, and the Roman letter teaches about the potter and the clay. And if you really believe that, then God in his sovereignty will mold and make you, no matter, you can see Joe Louis, the great fighter, come out of a family of 16 kids and in poverty and ends up being the world heavyweight champion. Mike Tyson's story, who still has trouble. But God uses that to shape, and if you just trust God and believe who he really, and that's what it means by to believe God. Faith is not a magic word. Faith means he knows, he controls, he understands, and I trust what he's revealed. And the way you get that revelation is through the word, and as God puts, and there was a lot of people in my life, a mom and dad, that prayed. And mother told me when I was little, I know she was just making it up, but it helped. She said, now, the Lord wouldn't let your brothers have this because they're not as strong as you.
Oh, don't you love our mothers?
Oh,
But you know what she did was she poured into you.
Yes.
And I believe that life and death is in the power of the tongue.
I think you're right.
What you confess is what you get, and what you pray. We have to be balcony people, not basement people. And we're so ready to just smash and smash. And God bless you that you had a mom that poured into you, that just made you obviously.
And my wife has just picked up that mantle. And that's the way a wife should be, and a husband should be for the wife. If someone's opposing me, my wife will say it's because they don't know you.
Oh, that's very good.
She's very smart on that, and she say, don't take this personal. They're attacking your doctrine. They're attacking your preaching. They're attacking your, and my wife is very wise in that sense that it's like water rolling off a duck's back. And that's what we Christians should be. We should, not be offended that everything comes along. We should be the ones going the extra mile. That's what the scripture teaches anyway. We need to go the extra mile to reach that one, to be there. Like what you're doing with your life. You and Debbie here, Sue, are out today. You could be home with family and grandchildren, or just doing your own thing on a golf course. But look what you're doing. I mean, you're wanting to see the country back to its origins. And that's what Brother Wayne Miracle is going to speak next. That's what we're about as pastors. We want the kingdom of God. We want the America. We want to be stewards. We want to hand our grandsons something not worse than what we had. I had a wonderful childhood, even though I had the polio. I mean, Mother and Dad said the blessing. We were in church on Sunday morning. We were around godly individuals. My first Sunday school teacher was our church clerk. And, I've every vacation Bible school growing up, I mean, my parents made sure we were around godly individuals, And,
well, that goes to say that, we are blessed in this country. We're not perfect, but we are exceptional. And I personally take exception to anybody that says otherwise. I mean, I've lived
Exactly.
overseas my whole life. I'm not from here. I'm from Venezuela. But, you know, people in America, I think sometimes we've forgotten how, I mean, we're in a bubble and we think that's not going to happen here. This is America. We're so, we're really spoiled. We're very blessed and we don't really realize how, you know, how good we have it. But Pastor Ken, just a couple things. One is, can you tell our audience, what is the name of your church?
Leafield Baptist Church
Leafield-
in Brooklet,
Georgia.
Georgia.
Georgia. What is your website?
Website is Leafield Baptist Church.
Okay.
And they can go on there, and there's videos and events and photographs and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on
We always
Facebook
like
page.
to make sure that we tell our audience that you know, if you're in Georgia, you want to find a church and a pastor that is really preaching the whole counsel of God. And so just after, you know, speaking with you quite a few times now and getting to know you, we know that you are a true watchman. And but can you tell our audience in a few minutes that we have left, Pastor King, Pastor, I keep saying King because my pastor, I just talked to him, his name is Pastor King, Bernard King. But Pastor Ken, what can you tell, why do we need to speak why are you speaking the whole counsel of God? There's so many pastors, and I hate to say it, but there are pastors that are leaving things out, and they're not preaching the whole counsel of God. What makes you preach the whole counsel of God?
Well,
and why should
Wayne and guys like myself, we fear the Lord more than we do our congregations. I'd rather displease a whole
thank
row
you,
of deacons as the Lord, and you know, we see you guys traveling and doing what you do is evidence that the Lord does not want the country to go down the toilet. I mean, it's like we're almost circling the drain, and you know, God is raising up these prophetic voices like what y'all are doing to remind us that we have a good, I mean, you're working alongside ministers and churches, and the best thing you can do for your country is be involved in your local church. And if you're not happy with what's happening there, pray the Lord to give you the right place to be and be involved and find people like Sue and Debbie and you know, be involved, support these kind of folks because they want to keep America. Amen. And that's what we've got to do because we have got to be stewards of the country. We've got to keep the country as wonderful as it is. And there's a lot of great things going on. I know people love the bad stuff, but there's so much. There's great Christian schools in this city. There's the Christian Liberty Network that we're in the founding stages of it, and it's growing. And there's people that share ideas and you have really got to be involved in your community. You should know your school leaders, your principals. You should know the businessmen, the bankers. I mean, your Christianity needs to be alive. You need to be out.
Now, let me ask you, a lot of times, and I don't know if you hear it in your church, but I know we hear it a lot, is that we're not to, don't get involved in politics if you're a Christian. What do you say to people like that?
That's a common misnomer. You cannot, you find the Gospel of Luke and Matthew immediately with John the Baptist confronting King Herod. Yeah. So wherever that doctrine's from, it's not from the Scripture, and it's sure not from Gospel. It's not from Paul in front of Felix confronting them. I mean, this is who we are now. Now, if the government is doing its job, the church don't have to crow about it. But if that's what that's what the entity of the church is doing is to be a light to the world, to expose the dark shadows that governments do, and governments are the ones that's going to oppress.
And we know, when we travel and we talk with pastors, and we ask that question, what do you say when people are challenge you about politics and being in the church? And so many times we hear Satan is all over your church. And if we don't stand in our churches for politics, and it's really our civic duty as Christians to stand, we have to be. This is a spiritual battle. Exactly. We have the full armor that he has given us. And he doesn't say, take it off when you go shopping, take it off when you go to the schools. You wear that 24/7. We need it in this battle. And it's just so uplifting for us at Women Impacting the Nation to be able to honor our pastors, our watchmen, Watchmen Pastors. And we encourage you, please share this with your friends. We're womenimpactingthenation.org. We have an email address. It is womenimpactingthenation.org. And we encourage you, give us your questions. Let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, or what you'd like to see. We're on the road with Liberty, our bus, and we just love that you're here listening with us today. And we thank you very much, and we just send you many, many blessings. Here at Wind Talk Radio, as Judeo-Christians in America, we have three choices. We can either fight, we can support the fighters, or we can do nothing. We encourage you all, take a stand today.
Thank you for joining us at Wind Talk Radio. For more information, contact us at womenimpactingthenation.org for questions, suggestions, or for more information, call us at 844-946-8255. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode of Wind Talk Radio. And remember, when we show up, we win.